Scuderia Ferrari has competed in 14 races of the 2024 Formula One Championship with an average of 24.64 points per event, about 6 points more per event than last year. Despite ups and downs since the start of the season at the Bahrain International Circuit in the Constructors' Championship, the Italian side will arrive at the 4.259-kilometer Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands after the summer break, not far behind Red Bull with 29.14 points per race, closely followed by McLaren with 26.14. However, the races immediately after Zandvoort will determine whether Ferrari can return to scoring big points to stay close to the leaders and fend off Mercedes. The trend of recent performances after Charles Leclerc's splendid victory in the Monaco Grand Prix has forced the Maranello team to always be on the defensive, managing the misstep in terms of SF-24 development. The first corrections arrived very quickly, but they couldn't solve the problem. The floor used at Spa-Francorchamps was a mix of the best parts already known and optimized in the keel extraction area to reduce the peak downforce at high speeds. Some areas of the new floor specification have already been revised and could appear for the Italian Grand Prix, where the SF-24 will feature very low-drag wings in the now classic Monza specification. The corrected version of the floor simply aims to stabilize the platform to improve drivability and use the untapped potential of the SF-24 while the fight for the top positions remains tight. For Ferrari, more data from the wind tunnel and simulations is expected as Formula One activities will resume on the Monday before the Dutch Grand Prix. In Maranello, an update for the wind tunnel is almost ready, which will provide more data on lateral flow and the front end, for example, on the effects of deformation of the front tire profiles. It is no coincidence that the most delicate part to change on these cars is said to be the design of the front wing. Now let's also focus on the technical reorganization aspect, as Ferrari will announce the new technical office structure after activities resume. In recent weeks, there has been much talk about Ferrari's alleged interest in Mike Elliott, former Mercedes technical director and the man responsible for the unsuccessful W13 and W14 projects. The English engineer is one of the very few senior figures available in the technical market, having completed the gardening leave required after his departure from the Silver Arrows last November. However, despite recent speculations and a position still vacant after Enrico Cardilla's departure to Aston Martin as the new chief technical officer, Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur does not seem to have shown much interest in Mike Elliott, despite the latter's extensive experience at the highest levels of Formula One. According to various Italian news media outlets, Frédéric Vasseur's intention is to replicate McLaren's technical structure, focusing not on a single prominent figure, but rather distributing technical responsibilities across several individuals. Loic Serra will therefore be called to play his cards as technical director and head of chassis, while Diego Tondi has already been effectively covering the role of head of aerodynamics for months after refusing to follow Italian aerodynamicist and former Ferrari technical director Enrico Cardilla to Aston Martin. Interestingly, Loic Serra's arrival in a technical director role will complete the circle of a career parallel to that of Pierre Waché, Ferrari's first and unattainable dream alongside Adrian Newey. Former Ferrari team boss Mattia Binotto was the one who tried first to bring him to Maranello, and Frédéric Vasseur himself later had a similar attempt, but Red Bull team principal Christian Horner did everything to keep him at the Austrian side with more than one quick contract renewal. The two French engineers, Wache and Serra, are close friends and have shared an almost identical career path, first Michelin, then BMW Sauber before separating to join Red Bull and Mercedes, initially in a similar role related to vehicle dynamics. At Mercedes, Loic Serra was overshadowed first by James Allison and then by Mike Elliott, and finally again by the former Ferrari engineer. Loic Serra mainly deals with suspensions, chassis, and tires, while at Red Bull, under the guidance of Adrian Newey, Pierre Waché also grew as an aerodynamicist, eventually taking on the role of technical director. Ferrari offered Loic Serra the opportunity to have a broader scope than he had at Mercedes, allowing him to take on a role similar to that of his friend Wache, albeit within a slightly different organizational structure. Frédéric Vasseur's team will be more similar to what is seen at McLaren, with a trio of technical directors responsible for chassis, aerodynamics, and vehicle. The working group at the top of the Maranello technical office consists of 7 people in total. This is the group that meets whenever an important technical decision needs to be made. As of today, with Loic Serra's addition to the well-known duo of Diego Tondi, Fabio Montecchi, with a Ferrari organizational chart that has changed a lot recently, with much turnover and many external technicians arriving in Maranello. Meanwhile, for the 2025 car, it's time for the first definitive decisions. It will have a revised wheelbase for a more forward center of pressure, combined with new pull rod suspensions. This is something that aims to better suit driving styles and preferences that are not so different between Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, which will inevitably be much more similar than the current ones. Loic Serra and Pierre Waché will therefore have the opportunity to compete on the technical front as early as next Formula One season, although the Ferrari 677 F1 project is already well advanced under Enrico Cardil's technical team. The task will be challenging because Loic Serra will need to coordinate various departments, including track engineering, aero operations, and vehicle performance. Ferrari brought him into racing division for the vast amount of success he achieved with Mercedes. Collaboration between aerodynamics and chassis is a daily priority for the new Ferrari head of chassis performance engineering, and Maranello's team certainly needs it. The acquisition is not only valuable for the current season, but also for 2025. The primary goal is to understand the SF-24, as team principal Frédéric Vasseur put it in a Binotto-like manner, in order to allow the Maranello team to be competitive in the final races of the current championship and become a benchmark for the upcoming F1 campaign. The aim of these developments is therefore to save Ferrari's 2024 Formula One season. According to internal sources, as reported by various Italian news media outlets, the Frenchman was already guiding Ferrari's engineers before the summer break and will continue to do so during it, despite the fact that his role will officially start from October. In 2024, with Red Bull no longer dominating as it did in 2023, Ferrari was expected to become a benchmark again. However, the Maranello team has unfortunately lost its way during the season and can no longer compete at the top. The situation is even harder to swallow since McLaren and Mercedes, who were behind at the start of the season, are now setting the standard. Ferrari must bring updates for the final stretch of 2024. At Maranello, the Ferrari racing division has closed the F1 department for the summer break, but this hasn't stopped the engineers from continuing to search for solutions for the SF-24. Ferrari is therefore focused on rebuilding driver confidence as it works to address its performance issues in this second part of the 2024 Formula One Championship. Team principal Frédéric Vasseur noted that having the same set of regulations for an extended period makes it increasingly difficult to gain performance improvements. The Frenchman emphasized that resolving the Maranello team's bouncing issues is crucial for regaining the driver's trust and confidence in the car, both in the short term and with a focus on the preparations for the 2025 Formula One season, when Lewis Hamilton will join the Italian side's lineup.